Sports.
We are Baltimore. We are Florida.
The Bobblehead Museum already getting some visitors tonight. The Marlins and the Pirates finishing off a 4-game set, the calm before the storm, so to speak, in South Florida. Marlins part. D. Gordon is back in the lineup. His pursuit of a batting title and a stolen base crown resumes tonight as the Fish go up against one of the best in the National League, and Justin Nicolino looks to follow up one of his best starts in the bigs. Hi, everybody. Rich Waltz, along with Tommy Hutton. Welcome to Miami. If the Pirates win this game, they'll take 3 of 4. Remember, they swept the Marlins in Pittsburgh. Everybody thinks this is a postseason team. They've been there the last 2 years. And just watching them this week, Tommy, you can see why.
Yeah, you actually can. And the competition they have, it doesn't seem like the Cardinals are slowing down, and it certainly doesn't seem like the Cubs are slowing down. So I think it's going to be fun to watch that National League Central the last month and a half.
Marlins have not seen the Pirate ace until tonight. They'll see Garrett Cole, and so will you. Tommy, what makes him so special?
Well, we're going to show you a little bit of his arsenal. And Garrett Cole, the 24-year-old out of UCLA, will feature a couple of fastballs, the 4-seamer and the 2-seamer. He'll throw a changeup occasionally. At times, though, he'll fall into lots of fastballs, lots of sliders. Here's a look at the slider that he uses. He is right up there near the top in most of the rankings. He's having a terrific year. He was an all-star this year, and you see with the wins, with his earned run average, the strikeouts, and the one that's impressive to me, that road earned run average at 2.22.
Just his 3rd year in the big leagues. On the other hand, in just his 1st year in the big leagues, Justin Nicolino, little by little, is putting it together.
You like to see improvement from start to start in any young pitcher. Justin Nicolino's 23 years old. He's made those improvements from his first few starts to his last 2 starts. All you have to do is focus on that right-hand column. So the kid who was born in Orlando, went to University High School in Orlando, is improving. You'll love to see it.
So a hot Justin Nicolino takes on one of the best in the National League in Garrett Cole. And D. Gordon is back in the lineup and back on the move. Marlins and Pirates are coming up. clinch a batting title. He's first, and a shot at a Gold Glove. Ho-hum. D. Gordon's having a great year. Let's go out center field. Jeff and Craig.
Hey, that's one thing, Rich, you don't say when you watch D. Gordon ho-hum. He's one of the most exciting players, certainly, with his game in Major League Baseball. And I think we found out not only offensively, but defensively. But let's talk about his offense, the spark he gives. And you saw the other night, was D. Gordon at his best?
Absolutely. You go 4 steals in a game the other night. He absolutely sparked that Marlins offense off and running. Here's number 1 of second base. Number 2 of second base. And these are all easy. I mean, I think he's getting better as the year goes along as far as getting jumps. Number 3, second base. Let's go feet first this time.
Yep.
And then an easy one over to third base. Number 4. He probably could have done that standing up, as a matter of fact.
It takes a lot of toll on your body, too, as D. Gordon has talked about. But he became the active leader, along with Billy Hamilton and Ichiro, of all people, with 3 4-steal games. A career high time for D. Gordon, up to 45 steals now.
And he's looking to make history here. Second baseman has not won the batting title since Jackie Robinson back in 1942. So a long time coming. D. Gordon could do something that Ichiro's only done. Gold Glove, stolen base title, and batting title in the same year.
That would be quite the trifecta. We got baseball coming up. Final game of the homestand. Pirates bidding for playoffs, maybe first place in the NL Central. Marlins trying to spoil them before they go on the road and get back to NL East competition. It's all next. Good matchup on Fox Sports Florida.
Let's go places. By Checkers, epic meals, epic deals. And by AutoNation, save on over 70,000 vehicles now. Visit us online at AutoNation.com. Oh, Dancing Pirates again tonight. They did it last night. No limbo. Michael Morris on percussion with the bubble gum. The problem was last night, Josh Harrison was a leadoff hitter. He had to go from mid-dance to put his helmet on and race to the batter's box. He's protected tonight. JM Lexus brings you the starting lineup. That's because Polanco is leading off. Starling Marte is in left. Andrew McCutcheon's had a terrific series against the Fish. Aramis Ramirez with the lefty on the mound, back at third. Francisco Cervelli back in the lineup. He hits fifth. Pedro Alvarez to start at first base. Neil Walker's at second. Jordy Mercer just getting back into the flow of things at short. And Garrett Cole is in the 9 slot, and Justin Nicolino tries to follow up his last start. A nice one against the Phillies.
Yeah, it was 7 2/3. Gave up 5 hits, just a couple of runs, and impressively only 1 walk. No decision in that game, but Justin Nicolino, last couple of outings have been tremendous.
Gregory Polanco hits so well in this ballpark, including 4 hits in game 1. Digs in, goes after the first pitch, which was brought to you by Pinch a Penny.
He is a hitter if you get ahead, and first strike right there on the foul ball. If you get ahead, you can keep expanding the strike zone.
Up the middle, Polanco has another hit. And a big turn at first base. He'll hold right there. So Polanco a leadoff single. Miami's defense tonight is brought to you by BMW.
And here's a look at that defense. Of course, those guys up the middle, always tremendous. Dietrich Ozuna and Ichiro in the outfield. Prado and Echeverria. D. Gordon back in there, so terrific double play combo. Justin Boers at first. Jeff Mathis does the catching tonight.
And Polanco's onslaught in this ballpark continues. The Pirates, in the last 2 nights, have come out and smacked the Marlins right in the mouth in the first inning. That one fouled back to the screen. 2 nights ago, the Marlins recovered and beat them 5-2, but not last night. A 7-2 Pittsburgh win. And the Pirates have won 2 of 3 so far in this, a 4-game set. Dan Jennings and the Marlins head to Washington, D.C. tonight. Andrew McCutchen waiting on deck. And Nicolino with a fastball that misses up. It is 1 ball and 1 strike. Marte, an active left fielder, a guy that can do a lot of everything. He can swipe bags. He's got 25 of them. He can hit doubles. He's got 24 of those. And he's got power. He's got 15 home runs and driven in 62.
He also has more hits than any left fielder in the National League. So this guy's a complete player. And that's why people talk so much about their tremendous young outfield with Marte, McCutchen, and of course Gregory Polanco.
Clint Hurdle, who has guided this team to the postseason the last 2 seasons. Of course, he would love to deliver in Pittsburgh the way he delivered in Denver, and that was with the World Series appearance. Even though the Rockies got swept by the Red Sox, it was a storybook run in Colorado through the end of that regular season and into the World Series. Things haven't been the same since he's departed. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
I think we've seen in Nicolino his best move is that snap throw over to first base.
Polanco has 21 bags. Marte's chopper is wide of third and wide of Prado. And of course, as we start this ball game, it's worth reminding you what's at stake here tonight. The Pirates 4.5 back of the Cardinals. They started the series just 3.5 back, and Chicago.
You know, the good news for the Pirates, the Giants have beaten the Cubs today 9-1.
And beat them last night 4-2. And so Chicago now dips 3.5 back. In the air, Ichiro. Polanco tags. Ichiro's got still a very lethal arm. And Polanco holds at first base.
You know, of all the things that we've seen Ichiro do this year, to me, one of the most impressive is that at the age of 41, he still has maintained a lot of arm strength. We've seen some tremendous throws.
There aren't many 40-year-olds that can say that, can they?
No.
Now McCutchen. McCutchen, big damage in this series. 3 doubles, a homer. He's driven in 6. He has 6 hits. And I would say 4 or 5 other balls in play that were absolute rockets, that were outs, that were caught. So he's not been fooled much these last 4 nights. Exhibit A last night.
Well, he's another also who seems to hit well here. That pitch was a mistake pitch up out over the plate. 11 games at Marlins Park. McCutchen's hit .395 with a couple of home runs.
Usually some friends and family that come down. Fort Meade, Florida. See what I mean? He's hit a couple balls like that too. Liners that just miss extra bases. He busted his bat on that one.
By the way, the break right there is that Prado didn't touch it. If Prado touches this ball, he misses it by a lot. From the angle we had, looked like he was close. But if he touches that, it's fair. But the ball got over his head. You saw the call by the third base umpire, Clinton Fagan.
And so Nicolino now with the count 2-1. So you've got an Orlando kid, his first year in the big leagues, and you've got a superstar out of Fort Meade, Florida, at the plate.
I'm sure Nicolino knows where Fort Meade is.
And he knows who Andrew McCutchen is. Got him picked off. Bohr's throw to second and out at second base.
Good job. Good job by Justin Bohr. Number 1, Polanco was going on first movement, but watch Justin Bohr come and get the ball. He takes 2 or 3 steps, gets a great angle, and uncorks a strong throw. He made that play to throw Polanco out.
Much nicer to face McCutchen now with nobody on and 2 outs. And Nicolino misses away. And he lost him. McCutchen walks, and it brings up Aramis Ramirez. This is a deep and really versatile team. And it helps to have, you know, a couple of guys in particular. Josh Harrison, Jung Ho Gung, guys that you can move around the fields. Gung on the infield, Harrison on the infield and the outfield. And you can bring Aramis Ramirez in to start against a lefty.
It's a nice dilemma to have. But in our conversation with Clint Hurdle, he talks about those guys in particular.
Prado gets the out, and Nicolino a nice first inning. Marlins get their first swings at Garrett Cole next. box and lead it off against a really good right-hander in Garrett Cole. Jam Lexus brings you Miami's lineup. D. Gordon. He'll be followed by Ichiro and Martin Prado. Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna, Derek Dietrich. Danny Echeverria, Jeff Mathis, Justin Nicolino in that 9 spot. You see D. Gordon's last 10 games. This guy is tough and getting better. His first year as an all-star, his 3rd year overall in the big leagues. He's everything you want in an ace. Nice 1-loss record, low ERA, high inning total, high strikeout total. And Cole ready to go with Gordon in the box, Ichiro and Martin Prado. Underrated man right there, Ray Searage, pitching coach for the Pirates. Mercer on to first, Gordon going after the first pitch. And here is Pittsburgh's defense tonight.
It's been solid in this series. Defense brought to you by BMW. 12 assists for Marte in left field. McCutchen and Polanco. Aramis Ramirez, a veteran, but made some terrific plays last night. Mercer and Walker up the middle. Pedro Alvarez starting tonight at first, and Francisco Cervelli behind the plate.
Ichiro takes a strike. Ichiro 0 for 5 in the series with a couple of walks. One for 3 in his career against Garrett Cole. And a breaking ball misses. Yeah, Ray Searage, not a sexy name, not a guy that talks a lot, but guys seem to get better when they come here. Very much like Dave Duncan in St. Louis. You think about Francisco Liriano, A.J. Burnett, Vance Worley, Edinson Volquez. Ichiro guides a ground ball out to second. And Garrett Cole is a guy, he'll go after early contact. He will attack the strike zone.
And he wasn't always like that. In talking with Clint Hurdle, so that's one area that Cole has progressed in. Knowing how to get early outs. The one thing, and I don't think it's a concern, but first half of the season for Cole, he was 13-3. Had a 2.30 ERA. He's 1-4 since the All-Star break. His ERA is not bad, right at an even 3.
There isn't a whole lot of individual history here with the Marlins and Garrett Cole. Martin Prado is 2 for 6.
Justin Bour with a little success.
Yeah, Bour 2 for 3 with a homer. The guy that has a couple of homers in 8 at-bats, Christian Yelich, but Yelich getting the night off after coming off the disabled list. A couple games. Chance to rest that knee.
Yeah, I think the knee's banged up a little bit. The ankle, remember the foul ball off his foot last night.
Prado fights off a fastball and dumps it foul. So the Marlins are headed to D.C., and if they think that facing Garrett Cole is a challenge, they'll get Max Scherzer, Jordan Zimmerman, and Steven Strasburg. All 3 in a row lined up starting tomorrow night. That's a perfect pitch. Outside corner, Cole dots the black and strikes out Prado. 1-2-3 for the Marlins in the first. Look at that, pitch number 5, perfect. Scoreless ball game. Pirates and Marlins in the second. Maybe a little less Mountain Dew. But having some fun tonight with Pirates and Marlins. Francisco Cervelli. Cervelli, a Yankee to begin his career, an oft injured Yankee. And a strike. Of course, Russell Martin, he's kind of followed Russell Martin around a little bit from the Yankees to the Pirates. And I think we addressed this in game one. The Pirates have to be pretty darn pleased with the year that he's had and the way that he's played, because Russell Martin was a very important part of getting Clint Hurdle's ball club over the hump and into the postseason, both emotionally and on the field. Cervelli fouls it back. He stayed healthy, Tommy, which is probably the biggest factor.
Well, he's played this year more games than he'd ever played before. Cervelli this year playing in his 100th game. Most games he'd ever played prior to this year was in 2010. He was in 93.
Two balls, two strikes. Pedro Alvarez, Neil Walker will follow. Pirates got a base hit and a walk in the first, but Justin Nicolino picked Gregory Polanco off at first, and that mitigated the damage. That one into the seats. The other thing that knocked Cervelli out, not only a long line of injuries, but a 50-game suspension for PED use, performance-enhancing drugs. That back in 2013. Three-2 in the air to center and hit well. Back goes Ozuna at the track, at the wall, off his glove. Cervelli around second, on his way to third, and he's in there with a triple. It's a long way to go, about 415 feet.
Well, this is triple number 5 for Cervelli. Tracking and tracking. You thought that Ozuna was going to get there. He was there in time. Gets the glove up, has it, and it comes out. And Cervelli ends up at third base with that triple. Certainly not an easy play. As he's leaping, he knows he's got a step or two and he's going to get to that padded fence.
And so Nicolino now is going to have to pitch his way around this. Pedro Alvarez, Neil Walker, and Jordy Mercer all lined up looking for an RBI. Shift on. Alvarez takes a strike.
The last two nights against left-handers, Clint Hurdle had Michael Morse start at first base, but he gets Pedro Alvarez in there tonight.
Alvarez takes outs. Runners on third, less than 2 outs. Alvarez 63%. You see the major league average at 51%. And right now, all he needs to do is put the ball in play up the middle or to the right side. Infield is back. 1-1. Nicolino has it and gets the out. You got to get it past the mound to get that RBI.
Let's hear what Jeff Mathis yelled to the young left-hander. Check him. Just to remind him to check the runner at third base.
So Nicolino has one out. Here's Walker, and with that, and I think because Walker is in the 7 spot, the Marlins are emboldened to bring the infield in. Liner to right, Ichiro over there, runner tags, and Cervelli on his way home is going to score. It's a big ballpark. When you hit a ball into the gap in that spot, it's really unlikely you're going to throw someone out tagging. Sacrifice fly, the Pirates are on the board.
Well, Neil Walker, a switch hitter, not near as many at-bats from this side of the plate, but certainly gets the job done with that fly ball into right field. And he's one of the guys we were talking about. Josh Harrison may play sometimes against the lefty instead of Walker. They'll try to get Gung in the lineup instead of Aramis Ramirez or Mercer.
Well, here is Mercer. This series emerging from the disabled list. And a left knee sprain. Was on the DL over a month.
Boy, some good footage of Jose getting a lot of work in today. That's why you have to watch Marlins live.
I think Jose, and he said it the other day in talking about who he likes to watch, will be paying close attention to Garrett Cole in this ball game. Echeverria gets the chopper from Mercer. Pirates are on the board and lead at 1-0. So does the All-Star game in 2017 at Marlins Park. If you place your 2016 Marlins season ticket deposit, join the Fish family. Full season ticket plan starts at $499. 1-877-Marlins. Go to marlins.com/tickets. Here's Justin Bour. Bour and the Marlins faced Cole earlier this year, and this was in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, the big guy knew it. In that game, Cole gave up 2 runs. The Bour home run, and Christian Yelich took him deep.
What? Garrett Cole got the win in that ball game, 5-2. Yelich, a night off after 2 games coming off the disabled list. little bit sore. Hopeful to go tomorrow night on a Friday night in Washington, D.C. There's the 81 pitch line from that late May game. Cole yanks it low and in.
One thing that Cole has done really well this year, an earned run average on the road of 2.22.
Into that shift. Bohr bounces out. Well, Garrett Cole grew up in California. The odd thing was he was a Yankee fan, a huge Yankee fan. In fact, so much so that when the Yankees came west, young Garrett Cole in 2001 was at Game 6 and Game 7 in Arizona with the Yankees there, had this fan up, and ended up on the cover of the New Jersey Star Ledger.
Yeah, he grew up in a town, went to high school in a town near Anaheim, near the ballpark where the Angels play, in Orange, California.
Ozuna smashes one into center field. Marlins have their first hit. Here's the odd thing about that. Here's a kid in Southern California. He grows up a Yankee fan, so much so that they travel to the World Series. And he's drafted by the Yankees in the first round as a high school player. And he told them no. He was the first high school pitcher taken in the first round not to sign in 7 years in the draft. He said no, he wanted to go to UCLA, didn't think he was ready.
Well, so far, I think his plan is working out pretty well. The Yankees may not think that with their need for pitching.
Derek Dietrich. Dietrich swings and fouls it off. 1 for 4 is Dietrich in this series.
Seeing every once in a while, he gives you that easy 97. That last fastball, one of the hardest ones he's thrown.
Runner goes, little hit and run, or a little run and hit, I should say. Ozuna on his way to second. Dietrich gets a piece of it. One out. Ozuna the runner at first. Alvarez holds him. 3 infielders on that first base side. The Pirates hyper aggressive in their defensive shifts. The Pirates are a team that are not real open about philosophies and metrics that they use and all of that. They're not a real boastful organization. Wear it on their sleeve and say we're revolutionizing the game, but they do, especially for a guy like Clint Hurdle, who's cut from an old school cloth with new age, I guess, tendencies. Combines a little of both. Ozuna held up as the ball cleared him. Dietrich's going to get to first. It's a fielder's choice. 2 outs. Here comes Echeverria. And if you call 305-480-2523, here comes the Marlins Fan Express, or email groups@marlins.com. Very sweet bus that can come to your neighborhood, to your place of work, local watering hole, pick you all up, bring you to the ball game.
You can relax. Don't have to worry about driving. It was on a couple of dives like that last night that Yelich kind of irritated that knee a little bit.
.96 miles an hour from Garrett Cole.
Well, the interesting thing when you were talking about Cole, Rich, and his decision, even though he was drafted in the first round by his favorite team, the Yankees, his decision to go on, he wasn't lights out at UCLA either.
Cole has it, underhands the first in time to get Echeverria. Miami gets a hit, leaves that runner. Pirates lead this game 1-0. Presents the Data Strong fan photo of the game. Hashtag your fan photo, whether you're a Pirate fan or a Marlin fan. FL Data Strong fan. But as Joe Madden said the other day, if you're at the ball game and you've got your phone out and you're sitting without a screen in front of you, pay attention. There's Garrett Cole.
Joe Madden just added a little help in his bullpen.
Fernando Rodney, ladies and gentlemen.
How about that?
Welcome to the postseason race. Coming from Seattle, where he had not pitched well this year. And he joins the Cubs. Of course, he pitched for Madden at Tampa Bay. Garrett Cole at the plate. You've got Gregory Polanco and Starling Marte to follow. And Nicolino throws a strike. Justin Nicolino is 2-1 with an ERA in his 5 starts, 3.77. Little by little, you can see him get a better feel for the big leagues. He told us after a couple starts that he realized pretty quickly that to have success here, you've got, at least he felt he had to, keep the ball down and pitch down in the zone.
Yeah, and I think he felt when he was talking to us, he said the key is the fastball's down, the changeup's going to be down. And I thought what he really did well his last outing, he ran his cutter in.
Garrett Cole's got a base hit. Sneaks it under Nicolino's glove.
I guess either way, Cole was going to get on base. That would have been ball 4. Just sneaks it under the glove. of Nicolino. Interesting how, and every pitcher will tell you this, and this is why you have to adjust, especially at this level. In Nicolino's last start against the Phillies, remember, he retired that leadoff batter that he faced all 8 times. Tonight, the leadoff batter has reached all 3 times.
Polanco reached with a single leading off the first. Cervelli tripled in the second. Cole's at first. Bohr plays behind him. And Jennings, Clint Hurdle squaring off. Hurdle, one of those managers that was a really good hitting coach. In fact, in between his stints with the Rockies and the Pirates, he joined the Texas Rangers staff and was their hitting coach one of their World Series seasons.
Yeah, they were happy to have him.
Real pitches a strike, and it's 3-1. And it's always the dynamics of a manager and what he brings to a team. There have been some guys that have been great hitting coaches that have had success. Charlie Manuel is one that really jumps out. Helped guide the Phillies to the best run in their history. Nicolino misses. This is not the part of the order you want to miss to, because now Marte, McCutchen, and Ramirez are lined up with runners first and second, nobody out.
It does not get easy now. All 3 right-handed bats, all 3 very good hitters.
Other hitting coach managers: Don Mattingly in Los Angeles, Lloyd McClendon in Seattle.
It's interesting sometimes how that translates. How there have been a few good pitching coaches that have gone on and had success. There have been a lot of former catchers that have been major league managers. I'm just thinking too, when we were in Pittsburgh, Dan Jennings got a nice visit from a very successful manager who was a longtime minor league catcher, Jim Leyland.
Jim Leyland had a profound effect on one manager in the National League East, so much so that manager wears Leyland's number. Prado got it out there, crossed the diamond, got it out there. That's a big double play for Nicolino. Marte goes 5-3, and Prado showing that defense around the bag.
This is not easy because Prado has to decide. Footwork, okay, pick it, but I have to pick it off to the side. Now I have to plant. You know, when we see Martin Prado with a routine play, he just gets it over there in time. But when he has to, like right here, he got a little extra on it, and he got it right there to Justin Bohr.
Here is Andrew McCutchen. Terry Collins was on the Pirates staff in the last few years of Jim Leyland. That one gets through Jeff Mathis. Not much usually gets through Jeff Mathis. And moving to third is Polanco. But Jim Leyland had a profound effect on Collins, so much so that Collins wears Leyland's number now on his jersey and has when he's managed in the big leagues.
Tough part for that is that Mathis was set up outside.
The other tough part is you're pitching to McCutchen with a runner at third, even though there are 2 outs. He walked in the first.
It's interesting because you and I were talking about some managers before the game, and one of the things that Terry Collins has taken from Jim Leland is during batting practice. You'll see Collins out. He'll be hanging in left field talking to a few of his players. He'll move over to center. And Jim Leland did that all the time.
I had one former manager tell me that practice helps a manager keep a pulse on the ball club, because you really can't do it in the clubhouse. But in batting practice, guys are just standing in the outfield. Marlins will walk McCutchen.
They can't hide from you.
No, but it's a chance to check in and say, hey, how's the arm feel, to a relief pitcher, or tell a role player, I'm going to get you a start when we get to Cincinnati on that Saturday or Sunday.
And many managers have said, and it's so true, you don't have to go up too often to the guy who's going good. He feels fine. You got to touch base with that guy who's struggling a little bit. Maybe the guys who aren't getting the playing time that they hoped they would.
So Nicolino goes after Aramis Ramirez. McCutchen at first, Polanco at third. Remember, Nicolino picked a runner off in the first. Ramirez takes a strike.
That's a nice pitch. Nice first pitch changeup for a strike.
Under the hands. Excuse me, it was an 0-1 scoreboard in the ballpark. And you saw Alan Porter put his hands up trying to correct it. It's 1-1. Now 2-1. Only 6 stolen bases this year for McCutchen.
I think it's an area he's cut back on a little bit. Maybe he's been advised to, just to stay healthy and not beat the body up too much. But you know, if he's thinking about it, he'll take off.
Nicolino now 3-1 on Ramirez. Saw Cervelli on deck. He misses out. Not a lot of walks for Nicolino coming in. Just 7 walks in 5 starts. But this, against a team like the Pirates, is a real danger sign. Chuck Hernandez is on his way out. Nicolino's always had very good command ever since the Jays took him in the 2nd round out of University High School in Orlando.
It was all over, and it was tough too after the intentional walk to McCutchen. Now he has a little pressure on him to throw strikes, and he wasn't able to Ramirez.
And Jennings on the phone. And you would think that would be to the Marlins bullpen. It's the 3rd inning. Nicolino sitting at 51 pitches. Speaking of pitching, the Marlins, and we talked about this last night, needing a guy that could go multiple innings in the pen. Andre Rienzo off the disabled list. Scott McGuff, a Pittsburgh guy, got to pitch against the Pirates last night, has been optioned to New Orleans. Cervelli, bags loaded.
A couple of things you think about in that move, as it looks like it hasn't taken Rienzo long to get loose. McGuff pitched 2 innings. Cordier pitched 3+, so he's unavailable. Probably wouldn't have used McGuff. So you have to look ahead, and you certainly need arms in that bullpen.
Translated, you need Nicolino to get out of this inning and get deeper in the ballgame. But as we pointed out, his ball strike ratio not good overall. And this inning, just 7 out of 24 pitches have been strikes. He's 1-1 to the Pirates catcher, Francisco Cervelli, who tripled off the glove of Marcell Ozuna in deep center. That catches the corner.
That was a changeup that caught that corner. The grip, little tail moving it away from Cervelli.
And he got a break and some help from Jeff Mathis. A much needed break at that. It counts 1-2. The Pirates in this inning had 3 walks and a base hit, and they haven't scored this inning. Little tapper. D. Gordon has it and gets the out, and Nicolino escapes. Despite the struggles, the Pirates come up empty.
Over 2 weeks now. In fact, retro to August 8th when Jose Fernandez went on the disabled list with the right bicep strain. But there's been some good news, and today probably the best so far. First, the long toss, and he's been doing this. We've seen him several times really let it out on his long toss, as you could see here. And then he went into the bullpen, had a bullpen session, and all Dan Jennings said about it was, wow. Chuck Hernandez, Reed Cornelius were on hand overlooking Jose in the bullpen. And he was throwing his pitches. Everything looked very crisp. He felt good so far. And so now what's up next for him is another bullpen session and then a sim game, and that whole progress that we always talk about when pitchers are returning from injury. But there is some good news. Is you see Chuck Hernandez looking on there, and that's what Dan Jennings said. That may be an early, he actually said early to mid-September, probably more likely mid-September return, which would give him guys maybe 3 starts, maybe 4 on an outside chance if everything goes well. But that's good news for the Fish.
All right, thank you, Craig. Let's hope so. The Marlins would love to see him on the mound and healthy, just to maybe ease concerns going into 2016.
Well, let's see.
Oh, hold on here. Francisco Cervelli right now and Alan Porter are going at it.
Wow.
And I think Cervelli's been tossed.
That was quick.
The argument ensues. Cervelli has been ejected. You could hear things heating up. They did have a discussion when Cervelli was at the plate. Remember that changeup that was a called strike? It was just out of the zone.
And then he goes back behind the plate, and he certainly wants pitches for his pitcher. It's a pretty good pitch. That's as good a pitch as the one that was called a strike on him. And I think I heard him say, "Why do you talk to me like that? You don't have to talk to me like that." So I don't know what Porter said to him.
Well, obviously Cervelli said something when not looking at him.
Yes.
And it's okay to do that, except we don't know exactly what he said. You could say some magic words which are not okay to use.
But if you're Alan Porter, you can't take it back, and he's gone. Cervelli's out of here. So Clint Hurdle's going to have to make a change. He'll bring in Chris Stewart.
So the Pirates lose their catcher and their number 5 hitter in a Jeff Mathis at bat. Stewart says, "I'm all right." Stewart said, "Just give me a few pitches."
Well, Stewart caught last night. He was 1 for 4, had an RBI.
He's warm. He didn't take any throws. Just took one lob pitch and then one real pitch. And he settles in a 1-0 game, 2-0 count. A strike to Mathis.
He was actually more ready than the outfield. Polanco was all the way in center talking to McCutchen, and he had to race back over to his position.
Mathis comebacker. Cole goes to first. And there's one out here in the 3rd inning. And Garrett Cole is on right now. The ground ball outs are starting to mount. That's 6 already. So 6 of his 7 outs have been on the ground. Now Nicolino. One of the things the Pirates preach in their organization, and they did it with Cole, is pitch to contact. There's a terrific article in Sports Illustrated, the August 24th edition. Cole is a centerpiece of that article. But Ray Searage is quoted as Nicolino finds the glove of a diving Aramis Ramirez. And that's the 2nd out.
Robbed of his possible first major league hit.
In that Sports Illustrated article, in talking about Cole, it said that coming up in the minor leagues, the organization made sure that he avoided the temptation to just live with the fastball and pitch to contact. The core values, as Searage said, about the Pirate system and their pitchers: first pitch strikes, make something happen in 3 pitches or less, keep 3 ball counts to a minimum, and pitch in, which opens up your sinker. And the Pirates certainly pitch in. And Cole coming up in their system. This is his 3rd year, an all-star this year. 67 starts now. He's 35-19 in ERA. Almost 3.07.
Had just 42 starts coming up in the minor leagues.
I think that was an Albert Chen article in Sports Illustrated.
Well, he's been steady. I'm sure Albert Chen has too with his writing.
Oh, yes.
But meaning Cole. That's a beautiful swing.
D. Gordon lines one into left field.
That's going to help you win a batting title, D.
Gordon 1 for 2 tonight.
The race is really tightening up. Coming into the game, D hitting .333, Harper at .332, Goldschmidt at .331. So it'll be fun this weekend in Washington, D.C. But swings like that, base hits like that. D. Gordon hitting about .340 at home, too.
And has his sights set on second base. Ichiro takes a strike. One of the other core values for the Pirates is control the running game. And they certainly didn't accomplish that the other night, as Gordon swiped 4 bags. In fact, the Pirates have given up more stolen bases than anybody in baseball. 114 of them.
Keep in mind, too, Stewart just came in the game and didn't throw a lot to warm up. Yeah, he's getting loose now, throwing the ball back to the pitcher, but he's relatively fresh to the game.
Ichiro bounced out in the first. Gordon away from first, not a big lead. And a liner to short. Mercer makes the catch. And Miami's third ends 1-0 Pittsburgh. Trying to get the attention of the home plate umpire. That little kid helped bring the bases out and was helping the grounds crew. Gordon spent about 45 seconds on a knee just chatting the kid up, and then got a baseball. Very nice. Great. Marlins Park offers a variety of suites located behind home plate along the first base line that can be rented for just one game. Suites accommodate groups from 16 to 70 guests. Upscale contemporary furnishings. Great food, beverage options as well. 1-877 Marlins, a Nicolino breaking ball. Alvarez, quick dialogue with Alan Porter. Counts 0-1. Neil Walker, Jordy Mercer.
I think an important inning for Justin Nicolino to see if he can get back in a little better rhythm and get ahead, certainly more than he did in that third inning. Because he has to tell himself it's still just a 1-0 game.
The Mets actually trail the Phillies tonight 5-2. in the fourth.
However, Rich, over their 6-game winning streak, they've been averaging over 10 a game.
Duly noted. 0-2 pitch. Alvarez hits it a ton to center. Back goes Ozuna. Looking up. Gone. As in the bushes, gone. That's the type of power that Alvarez has. His 21st.
Well, he truly has big-time power. Watched him in batting practice today. Hit a few balls into right field in places I've not seen balls hit very often. And remember, 2 nights in a row was Michael Morse. He had a hit in each game. Tonight, Clint Hurdle decides to get the left-handed bat in there, and Pedro Alvarez responds.
Number 125 in his career.
Any ball that finds that area is hit extremely well.
So 2-0 Pittsburgh. Yes, the bushes out in center. There might be a need for more bushes next year. The Marlins, and there is talk from the Marlins about moving the fences in, dropping the fences down. As Bohr races to the bag and gets there in time. You could see them. I mean, if you do drop the center field fence down and move it in, you're going to need to bring something out to it, and maybe those bushes get a little more run. That baseball's in there somewhere, Tommy.
They'll find it.
I don't know that I'd like to go in there and find it, though. It's not like Andre Dawson's going to come out of there like Wrigley Field. What? My guess is if you got in there, there'd be a bunch of baseballs there.
Oh, yeah. If you find their way out there in batting practice. See Andre Dawson not in the bushes. There he is, the Hall of Famer.
Mercer fouls it back. Count 2 balls and 2 strikes. On a Thursday night in Miami, Pittsburgh Pirates and the Marlins finishing off a 4-game series. Stroked into right. A 1-out single for the Pirates shortstop Jordy Mercer. On to Washington, D.C., where South Florida Honda dealers get you ready for the Marlins and the Nationals. Adam Conley, Max Scherzer. 3-game weekend series. Washington is at home tonight and trailing San Diego 1-0. Cole lays it down, and a collision with Cole and Jeff Mathis. Mathis has the right of way, and he kind of climbed up Cole's back. Here's a look at it.
Well, it was a nice bunt by Cole. There's really like no harm, no foul. There's no place for Cole to go, no place for Mathis to go, except over his back. Alertly, because Cole was still just a step or two out of the box. Alertly, Justin Bour was right there to make the play.
And you could see Mathis kind of let up as soon as he knew contact was imminent. Polanco out to center. Ozuna races in, makes the catch. But Pedro Alvarez goes deep. I mean, really deep. Probably 430, 440 deep. Epic meals, epic deals. In Miami tonight, the Pirates, a 2-0 lead. Justin Nicolino has been up and down. Be enough at times for a guy like Garrett Cole. The Marlins facing the ace of the Pirate staff tonight.
Well, he's also, one of the things he's done, Cole, is be consistent in the innings he's given to Clint Hurdle. 6 or more innings, 20 of his 25 starts. He's gone 7 or more 12 times.
Martin Prado. To Hopper. And Mercer throws him out. Justin Bour, Marcell Ozuna will follow. Not a full schedule tonight on this Thursday in baseball, August 27th. Told you the Nationals are trailing the Padres 1-0. That's an Andrew Cashner start for San Diego.
There were a few games played today.
Most notably, the Giants beating the Cubs 9-1, and Madison Bumgarner just nasty. His ERA has dipped under 3, 16-6.
Zach Greinke was pretty good for the Dodgers in Cincinnati. 1-0 win for the Dodgers. Greinke's 14-3 now with a 1.61 ERA. Might be talking about, if you add Kershaw, you might be talking about the 3 Cy Young candidates in Bumgarner, Greinke, Kershaw.
Justin Bour bounced to second in the second. Remember how earlier in the year Tyson Ross of the Padres had an off day. He went in to see his brother pitch for the Nationals. They almost pitched against each other in the series. They just missed each other by a day. It's Joe Ross pitching for Washington. And Andrew Cashner for San Diego. Garrett Cole quickly dispatches Justin Bour. Major League Baseball on Fox Sports 1 returns a doubleheader. Red Sox take on the Mets, followed by the Yankees battling the Braves. Coverage begins next Saturday, 3:30 Eastern, right here on Fox Sports 1. Streams live on Fox Sports Go. They almost got me again tonight, Tommy Hunt. That promo reads the American League East leading Yankees, the Toronto Blue Jays, who don't get much television exposure, do they? I mean, Ozuna lines it to left, and Marte makes the catch. That was brief. 1, 2, 3, go the fish. Hits against Garrett Cole. Well, we started in on Toronto. You can see the lead in the East for the Blue Jays now a game and a half, because Toronto lost to Texas today 4-1. Blue Jays don't get much television exposure in the United States. Now, north of the border, the entire country of Canada is dialed in right now.
Yeah, they competed. Well, at one time it was the Expos. They were the one major league team, and then they competed with the Expos when Toronto came into being. But now they own the country north of the border. And how about David Price yesterday? He won his 4th game. He's 4-0 in 5 starts with a 1.98 ERA while he's been with Toronto. And Josh Donaldson has over 100 RBIs already.
Toronto, the 4th biggest television market, and I think every network is guilty of it. Fox is guilty of it, ESPN, MLB Network, Turner.
They're an exciting team to watch too.
Marte fouls it back.
Yeah, if Josh Donaldson wins the MVP, a lot of people will go, who's he? Oh, yeah, he used to be with Oakland.
But they didn't get much love either. That one into right and foul down the line. But what do you bet we'll see a bunch of, in September, Yankee Red Sox matchups?
I want to see Hanley play first base. I saw over there.
Oh,
you're trying to work.
No, you don't.
You're trying to work with Hanley Ramirez to play some first base.
1-2. That's crushed but foul. Marte, an 0 for 2 night against Nicolino. A run in the 2nd on a Neil Walker sac fly And a run in the fourth on a long Pedro Alvarez homer. We don't have a distance yet. We are venturing to get it. I'm going 435, 440 on that home run. It's up in the bushes. It's way high. The fence at that point is 418.
Good pitch. Off speed, and he kept it down.
Ichiro settles and makes the catch.
By doing that, had Marte fooled. Thus the key for Justin Nicolino.
Andrew McCutchen. Marlins have walked him twice. Max Scherzer awaits tomorrow night. McCutchen with a base hit. He's only 7 for 14 with 3 doubles and a homer and 6 runs driven in the series. So a base runner with an out. Aramis Ramirez coming up. So is the Geico MLB moment. Ricky Henderson. And I remember this day for a lot of reasons. His 119th base to break Lou Brock's single season record. He ended with 130 that year in 1982. Ricky, who picked the bag out of the ground, hoisted it over his head, and then when he spoke to the crowd, said, "I am the greatest of all time."
I believe Lou Brock was there, wasn't he?
Yes. Ricky Henderson, one of the more engaging, mysterious, fun, odd, and supremely talented players you'll ever be around.
I'll bet the other Hall of Famers have a blast with Ricky in Cooperstown at the Hall of Fame ceremonies.
Aramis Ramirez, second time around in Pittsburgh. Pirates were a long way from the postseason his first tour of duty. That one almost scraped a girder up there. That was so high. We have not seen a ball in fair territory yet in this ballpark, which was open in 2012, hit something. But that one came very close. It's going to happen, Tommy.
I don't know, because we've been here, since 2012. I don't even remember seeing it at batting practice.
It will. I feel the place that it will hit is the girder that runs parallel to the first baseline that's in foul territory by about 20-25 feet. That's the lowest point. Chris Stewart's first at bat. He came in for the ejected Francisco Cervelli.
All I know is that it's nice and comfy in here every night. And a lot of rain the last couple of days. The heat, the humidity. It's where you want to be, isn't it?
Yeah. It beats the football stadium. The Marlins won 2 world championships there. The rain delays, the swamp butt sitting in the stands. That was a short-lived promotion in Marlins history. Swamp butt Sunday.
I used to just marvel at the fans. You'd always see a handful that would sit in the rain for 2 hours waiting for the game to start.
To right, Ichiro is there, and he makes the catch. Justin Nicolino gets through the 5th. Miami down, though, 2-0. A Toyota trend. Since the 13th, the Pirates have won 11 of 14. They've been scoring runs. See the ERA. Look at the bullpen ERA, 1.38. That guy, Garrett Cole, in control in this one. Derek Dietrich, Danny Echeverria, and then Jeff Mathis. Bottom 5, 2-0 Pittsburgh. And Garrett Cole has been an out-getting cyborg in this one. Just a couple of singles, lots of ground ball outs. Dietrich to center. McCutchen. One out in the 5th. Kelly Johnson has just homered. Yoenis Cespedes has homered. And the Mets have tied the Phillies 5-5.
Travis d'Arnaud has homered. They're at it again.
Echeverria. That was up and in. He dropped a bunt.
Just a little example of how the Pirates, as we have talked about in this 4-game series, use the inner third of the plate more than any team.
Echeverria fights it off. That Padre lead is still 1-0 over the Nationals. Now, it's amazing. The Washington Nationals woke up this morning 6.5 games back in the East, behind the runaway express that are the Mets right now. Polanco to the line. 2 outs.
Rich, after July 5th, the Mets were down 4.5 games to the Nationals.
And in less than 2 months,
they've made up 10 games. Wow.
See the Phillies right behind the Marlins, who are a few games behind the Braves. Mathis now. Jeff Mathis at the plate in the third. The big commotion was Francisco Cervelli and Alan Porter. Porter ejected the Pirates catcher. Ends up in the seats.
They really like the way Garrett Cole works, because we've seen him touch 97, 98, but he's not all out. He's not max effort all the time.
Count full now, 3-2. Mercer across the diamond. Garrett Cole looking like Garrett Cole tonight.
Publicly have come out for the first time and said, yes, we are considering moving the fences in for next season. I asked Dan Jennings about that today.
I know Mike Hill and I, when we were upstairs, we used to argue all the time, you know, when a ball was hit and our hitter hit it and it would hit the wall, I'd always yell, bring him in. And then when a ball was hit and the opposing guy hit it, Mike would say, keep him back. And so we kind of had a running debate all the time.
So the Marlins skipper told me absolutely he endorses it. He thinks it'd be more fair and fun. See more home runs. Of course, that is a two-way street. Now, here's what they're looking at. One of the scenarios is from that spot there where the yellow line is, and take that all the way to right center and run it just about to that 392 mark. Now, this is not definitive. The Marlins are going to look at a bunch of different scenarios, where the balls have landed, what has happened this year. They'll look at all 4 years. But that's one spot right there in center. Bring it all the way to right center. Keep going to the 392 mark, and that could be one of the things they're looking at, along with lowering the wall, which goes up to over 13 feet in some spots. We'll see. I think it could be great as well. I think you guys are also behind that endorsement, yes? Or no?
I was just about to say, the ball that this guy hit, it didn't matter if the fence were even higher or even further back, it would have gone out to center. But yeah, I think I think an adjustment would be fun. I like the lower wall. I like the outfielder being able to climb up and rob a home run.
Yeah, and you know, so much is talked about. Well, it's a pitcher's park. Make it for pitchers. Well, number one, if you can pitch anywhere. Number two, you don't want to make it so pitchers get too comfortable and then have trouble on the road. And I think over the years, a lot of Marlins pitchers have had a little more trouble on the road than pitching here at home.
And guys, I still think it's going to be, you see that one down the line, it's still, if that is the scenario we described, it's still going to be a big park.
Yes.
You're still going to have a deep left center. If in center field, if they take it in 10, it's still 408-ish. Right center is still going to be fairly deep. It's not going to be all of a sudden Wrigley Field on a windy day.
No, and that's the other thing to think. The combination of distance and elevation, which there is none. I mean, here you are, sea level. The ball really doesn't jump here as it does in places. Get into the central, even Atlanta, which is a lot higher elevation than people realize.
I think Atlanta is the second after Colorado. It's number 2. I believe it's around 1,700 or 1,700.
I think Arizona's number 2. I think it goes Colorado,
yeah, okay,
Arizona,
okay.
And then Atlanta.
All I know, it's hot in Arizona.
But I agree with you guys, especially left field, right field. You like to see the walls come down where Stan can use his height and steal a ball. Yelich in left field. It is to me one of the most exciting plays. I like that fence Tommy used to play games at Dodger Stadium. I know it's small.
Well, it's
in
tiny.
The corner. It's tiny.
Yeah, the
it's
little
crazy.
corner around the corner,
Crazy.
it's really too small. But the rest of the fence, yeah.
I think it's important to note that rhetoric is not necessarily coming from the media. That one is a blast foul. But it was David Sampson, as you noted, Craig, that addressed that and talked that the Marlins are seriously considering it, and that that is something that they're looking at. Good to see Michael Hill back in the ballpark. Michael lost his father in Cincinnati a week ago. To have him back is great to see. Breaking ball, swing and a miss, and Alvarez strikes out. 1 out in the 6th. Whether it's a fundraiser, a networking event, a family celebration, bring your group to Marlins Park. You get the all-new food and beverage options, all-you-can-eat seats, the new Clevelander Sunday brunch, $5 mimosas. That's all we need to say about that. 1-877-MARLINS, marlins.com/groups today. Right center field, Ichiro makes the catch. Neil Walker along out number 2.
By the way, good job. It's his first and only strikeout of the game so far, but some good pitches and a good pitch to put away Alvarez, who of course hit that long home run, is at bat before. It's been a nice challenge for Justin Nicolino tonight. I think he's managed his way around this tough lineup pretty well.
He's got Jordy Mercer here, who's 1 for 2. Couple runs, 6 hits for the Pirates. They are hunting for win number 77. Kansas City has the best record in the American League. They have 77 wins. Of course, the Cardinals are at 81 and 45. Nicolino has that off-speed pitch float outside.
How about the lead that Kansas City has? Kansas City Royals are 12 games ahead of Minnesota, and Minnesota has won 6 straight.
Mercer gets a hold of one. Ozuna runs it down. And Justin Nicolino enjoys his first 1-2-3 inning of the night. 2-0 Pirates. music and the show. MLB Whip Around, Fox Sports 1. Highlights, instant analysis, live look-ins from around the league. MLB Whip Around, weeknights, 7 Eastern on Fox Sports 1. Streams live on Fox Sports Go. Garrett Cole has handcuffed Miami all night. Cole Gillespie will pinch hit for Justin Nicolino. Nicolino, despite having to bob and weave his way through the first 4 innings, goes 6. 2 runs on 6 hits.
Boy, remember back in that second inning, the 3rd inning, where he really struggled through a lot of pitches. The Marlins actually had the bullpen up. So good job by Nicolino to settle down and give his ball club and his manager 6 innings.
Cole staying with his slider, goes to 1-2 on Gillespie. Top of the order, D. Gordon, then Ichiro. That's a perfect pitch. Slider, 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 and then fastball. Look at that. As promised, if you have a good, strong fan photo, you could be the winner of the Data Strong Fan photo of the night. Hashtag it. Just hashtag it, Tommy, would you? Oh, Bodie. Those wacky Marlin glasses. Did we see that again? I think that's probably what tipped the scale with the blue ribbon panel to select that photo. D. Gordon's up. 1 for 2 is Gordon. His average tick up to 334 from 333. Cole, as Gordon shortened a bunt, comes in.
D. Gordon in 8 at-bats against Garrett Cole has 4 hits, 4 for 8.
Bearclaw, the right-hander, is up. Another comebacker. That's 9 ground ball outs. 9 out of 16 outs on the ground. And he's got a pair of strikeouts.
You know, the amazing thing about that, Rich, is when you say the name Garrett Cole, you don't think ground ball pitcher. You think power guy. But he has become a pure pitcher.
There you go, 8 ground ball outs. That's close. Ichiro's out. Nice play by Jordy Mercer. Garrett Cole just keeps chewing up outs. He's thrown only 70 pitches through 6 innings. And the Marlins are done in a hurry in the 6th. has mowed through Miami's lineup. 10 ground ball outs, 3 strikeouts through his 6 innings of work. He's in line for win number 15. Miami dips into the bullpen. Kyle Bearclaw takes over for Justin Nicolino. 6 innings for Nicolino. Nicolino giving up 2 runs. His second straight start of 2 runs. Went 7 2/3 against the Phils. 6 here against the Pirates.
I think with each appearance, when we see, now I can start with Nicolino, but also some of the young guys out of the bullpen. I think with each appearance, you can see a little more calmness. They're starting to settle in a little better.
Bearclaw had a scoreless inning his last time out against the Phillies. Picked up a win against the Red Sox back in earlier this month. It was the Cardinals' Double-A closer, and the Marlins received him in the Steve Cishek trade. Strikes out Cole. Marlins watch party. Tommy's favorite restaurant, the Whole Enchilada. Fresh Mexican grill and bar. And that on Friday night is a good place to be. Tomorrow night, 7:05, show up at the Whole Enchilada, order a margarita, big thing of guac and chips. And you got prizes, tickets, energy team. They'll be doing flips off your table, literally. Billy the Marlin will be there. Marlins.com. And hopefully they will send us photos. The energy team will.
No, I'll just get more hungry. I get hungry when you read that promo.
I want to see video of them doing flips, handstands on the table, eating the guac in a handstand. The energy team tomorrow night.
Flips over the bowl of chips.
Whole enchilada tomorrow night. Energy team. Polanco. They count 2-0. Starling Marte almost walking right into your living room. It's one of our favorite places in terms of audio in this ballpark. Mark Butler, our award-winning audiologist. Is he an audiologist?
Yeah, a master's. You got a master's degree in that. Yeah.
Mark works a lot of the big events around the country, and we are blessed to have him at our home games. But that area right there is a terrific spot for sound. You get guys in the batting circle dropping the weight. That's always a cool sound. You can hear Marte actually tapping his shoes with the bat.
I was thinking of that the other day. I believe the Marlins were up at the time, and you could hear that heavy weight. Sometimes the guy crashes the bat down, they'll crash down on the batter circle. Sometimes the guy on deck will do that just as the batter's awaiting a pitch, and I'm thinking, can you imagine that happening in golf? The guy standing over a putt, and all of a sudden you hear this crashing sound.
That only happens like at the Phoenix Open, right?
Yes. Yeah, they have wild fans there.
Polanco walks, and Marte comes to the plate.
See, your golf knowledge is growing. I think I've grown a little in tennis.
I believe that is now the waste management.
Waste management. Yes.
And it's a major party. That's how I know.
Highly attended.
Yes. And so I don't know it for the golf. I just know it's a giant party. Here's Marte. Polanco at first. Bearclaw. One foul back to the screen. I think one of the biggest accomplishments for Mark Butler last season and then again this year. You know, some people win multiple Emmys, and it's like an annual event. Bring on the Emmy. Last year and then again this year, Mark Butler was able to slay the cricket. We had a cricket down in that very spot by that.
It took a while.
The Pirates on deck circle. Bobby Dorfman, the A2, helped, but
I think Bobby may have been instrumental.
Mark gets credit for the kill, much like a fighter pilot,
kind of like a picador. I mean, the Matador gets credit for the kill.
Well, they're a lot like Maverick and Goose.
How in the world did we go from the waste management golf tournament to that?
Sorry, here's the 0-2 to Starling Marte. And it's low and away. Barraclough working here in the 7th. Barraclough out of St. Mary's. A very successful basketball program. They've been to the NCAA tournament a lot lately. You can hear Marte asking for time and getting it from Alan Porter. Things have quieted down with Alan Porter and the Pirates since the Cirelli ejection. Now Barraclough wants to chat with Jeff Mathis. The day games today, the Royals stay hot. They beat Baltimore 5-3. Talked about Toronto dropping one to Texas. Texas is hot. That number 2 wild card spot in the American League has changed hands a couple of times in the last 2 days. The Minnesota Twins, who are leading the Rays 4-3. Minnesota 65-61. And Texas, with that win, draws even with them. That is the number 2 wild card spot in the American League. The Yankees, who are a game and a half back of Toronto in the East, are in the number 1 spot. That's the spot that the Pirates hold in the National League. Got him. Barraclough with a good breaking ball. And Marte chased it.
He really combines that well with his fastball that's mid to upper 90s. There's the grip. Look at the spin. Boy, he really got Marte to chase it. That's the one thing about Polanco and Marte. If you get ahead, you can do that.
Oh, with this guy, not so much.
No.
McCutchen walked twice and singled.
In this series, Andrew McCutchen has reached base 10 times. 7 hits, a couple of walks, and hit by a pitch.
Remember that opening night, the Marlins and the Pirates. Actually, it was game 2. McCutchen was hit. No, it was game 1. McCutchen was hit in game 2. There were a pair of Pirates hit in game 1. And we asked the question that night, and there were 3 other balls that were up and in that sent Pirates sprawling. We asked the question, would there be retribution later in the series? So far there hasn't been, but this is the last game of a 4-game set. It's a tight game, so you might not see it. Right field, Ichiro makes the catch. Kyle Bearclaw with a nice scoreless inning. 7th inning stretch in Miami. 2-0 Pittsburgh. And Garrett Cole still fresh. Prado, Bohr, Ozuna. 70 pitches worth, and that's what it'll get you. 2 hits, no runs, not even a sniff. No walks, 3 strikeouts, 10 ground ball outs. We talked about it earlier. The philosophy that the Pirates see Sean Rodriguez at first base. As they brought Cole up through their system, the philosophy that they pounded into not only his head, but all of their pitchers' heads, and that is pitch to contact. Make something happen in 3 pitches or less. Liner to right, and it's a base hit that happens. Polanco gets it. Prado has a hit. Miami's 3rd of the night. A leadoff single here in the 7th.
One of the few mistakes. Looked like a little slider that stayed up. And Martin Prado just continues a solid, steady year during his 9th year in the major leagues.
Now Bohr fouls it at the plate. Not a lot of home runs hit off of Cole this year. This is start number 26. And he's allowed just 9 long balls.
Prado with that base hit, Rich, keeps the hitting streak alive. It's at 6 now.
funny, of those 9 home runs, 2 of those hit by the Marlins. Yelich and Bohr in Pittsburgh. 0-2. Wow. And he has handled Bohr all night long.
You know, last time he got him with a couple of really good sliders down and in. And so if you get thinking that as a hitter, and then what did Cole do? He went with a good hard fastball to strike out Justin Bohr for the second time.
The Marlins have yet to get a runner even to second base tonight. 3 hits, all singles. Busted bat. Ozuna dumps it into right. Prado's not stopping. And Miami has a runner at third now with 1 out. Nice at bat by Ozuna. His second hit.
Same pitch that Prado hit. This ball a little bit off the end of the bat. Good jump by Martin Prado. He realized, picked it up right away, that it was going to get over the head of Neil Walker, the second baseman. There he is.
Now Dietrich, who's bounced into a fielder's choice and flied to center. Prado the runner at third. Ozuna with pretty good speed at first. Infield plays for 2. Jam shot, and it gets into the seats.
Couple of fastballs.
And that's one of the tough things about Cole, who really has 5 different pitches. 2-seamer, 4-seamer, curveball, slider, change. And he throws anyone at any time.
98 on that last pitch. It's amazing. Here we are in the 7th inning. He's gotten himself a little trouble here. He's not letting up, and he still hasn't reached 80 pitches. Next pitch is number 80.
You can see when he needs a ground ball, he's usually able to get it. Cole on his way. Time call. Was a late call. Now you can see that leg was already up.
Surprised Cole just didn't continue on and throw the ball.
Stewart had to smother it. Count now 2-2 to Derek Dietrich. Best opportunity for Miami all night is right now in the bottom of the 7th inning. Garrett Cole has been splendid. No Marlin runner had touched second before Prado went first to third on the Ozuna hit. 2-2. Dietrich in the air to center. Plenty of room for McCutchen. Both runners tag. Prado will score. Ozuna will stop at first. Head back. The sacrifice fly cuts the lead in half. It's 2-1.
Really nice job by Derek Dietrich. He battled a number of pitches. He fouled off some fastballs, and finally, even with 2 strikes on him, got that 2-seamer up a little bit and was able to launch it into center field for the sac fly.
Here is Echeverria. Two mountains to climb for the Marlins. One, Cole is looking for win number 15. They have a run. They've cut the lead in half. The other is that Pirate bullpen. We showed you earlier how good they've been lately. Best in baseball over the last 2.5, 3 weeks. Of course, nobody in that pen has budged at all tonight. Cole sitting comfortably at 83 pitches. Walker. And the Marlins are done, but they get a run. And it's 2-1 to the 8th.
Well, in the second inning, Francisco Cervelli tripled straightaway center field. He came in to score on Neil Walker's sacrifice fly. Just like that, Pirates had a 1-0 lead. In the 4th inning, a blast. We're guessing around 440 feet. There was an out. That's not the blast. Here's the big blast. Why do we show outs on the highlights? I don't know. Anyway, there's a blast straight away. 440 feet by Pedro Alvarez. Guess we didn't have a whole lot of other stuff to show.
We don't get editorial.
Marlins get a couple of hits, get a sac fly from Dietrich, and pick up their lone run. So it's a 1-run ball game. Well pitched by Garrett Cole. Well pitched by Justin Nicolino through his 6 innings.
And so the chore now for Miami's pen, Brian Morris, a former Pirate, is to hold it right at 2-1. Give the Fish 2 innings to try to make up that distance. Aramis Ramirez Chris Stewart, Pedro Alvarez in the 8th in Miami. Morris misses down low. Aramis Ramirez is 0 for 2. Really a tough night the other night for just about everybody that pitched for the Marlins. But Brian Morris really took it hard. I can remember the shots of Morris on the bench with his head down, despondent. Morris, who's had a nice run with the Marlins, we really haven't seen him have an outing like that. He walked 4 in 2/3 of an inning.
You know what? You don't want to see a pitcher do what he did. Obviously, he doesn't want to see that. But you like to see that reaction because that shows you he cares. It shows you he knows he's better than that.
Back up the middle, Aramis Ramirez smacks a single to center. And it brings up Stewart. Pirates will pitch run for Ramirez. Jay Hay, Josh Harrison. Stewart came into the ball game after Francisco Cervelli was ejected. Cervelli was ejected when he was behind the plate, not at the plate. Stewart to right, Ichiro. Out number 1.
You know what's great? Watching good outfielders, and Ichiro certainly is in that category. We always see the final, the catch, but watching him get a jump and go after that ball, it's a thing of beauty. It's a great jump. Ball slicing away from him. Puts it away, and then certainly is aware that the runner first might be tagging up. Ichiro's had 7 putouts tonight. He's been busy.
Runner goes. Bouncer Gordon has it. Tags, throws. Oh, D. Gordon. A double play to end the inning. Flash Jr.
Somewhere in the dugout, somebody is saying, stop it.
The lunge and the throw. 2-1 Pirates.
down by a run. We know about the Pirates' great record this year. Their ERA is second in the National League, but their defense has not been that great. They've made the second most errors in the league at 92, and they've allowed 52 unearned runs, and that is the third most in the league. So how do you get over that? As you see the errors, just one shy of Milwaukee. Well, Clint Hurdle has a little saying. He goes, so what, now what? Atone for your mistakes. You don't always come out on the other side of it, he says, but resiliency is real important for his ball club. And as he says, hey, you got to play forward and just rip off the rearview mirror sometimes. The Pirates have seemingly done a very good job at that, to overcome a shoddy defense at times and win ball games.
Can't you see Clint Hurdle just going down a country road in his pickup truck with no rear view mirror?
Yeah, ripping off that rear view mirror, yeah. That's a good philosophy.
JT Realmuto pinch hitting here in the 8th. Casey McGee is on deck. Marlins emptying a couple of pinch hitters out onto Cole.
We had thought that maybe Christian Yelich would be available. This kind of tells you that he's not, because in a one-run game, certainly in one of these places, you'd have him hit.
Well, there are lefties in both bullpens. Mike Dunn in Miami's pen. And the Pirates have Tony Watson in their pen. Remember, Mark Melancon is a right-hander, the closer for the Pirates. So you still could use Yelich if Melancon indeed pitches in the 9th. Although you're getting into D. Gordon, Ichiro, Prado, and Bohr. Realmuto. It's a tough pinch hitting assignment. You're asked to come in and face a guy that has been sharp all night, still has gas in the tank. 91 pitches for Cole.
7th inning was the first time he made some mistakes. He hung a few sliders.
We talked earlier about Jose Fernandez watching Garrett Cole. This is everything you want Jose to be in a year. This is the 3rd year for Garrett Cole. He's the ace of the staff. His ERA is under 2.5. He's 14-7. Ground ball. Rodriguez slips, gets up, and throws wildly. Realmuto is safe, and Cole ends up face down in the dirt.
Well, Rodriguez came in. Pedro Alvarez left. He gets a tough play. I'm not sure he makes the play even after the initial bobble because of the speed of JT Realmuto. Tries to hurry the throw. Would have been bang, bang. Garrett Cole can feel lucky that he's all right.
Yeah, that was an awkward arrival at first base.
And that could be a hit. I mean, it could be ruled an error, but it could be ruled a base hit as well.
Yeah, because what you're saying is he's not going to arrive at first base any sooner than that.
But it's going to be an error 3 because of the initial bobble, but a tough play for Rodriguez. Either way, the Marlins get a base runner.
And instead of Casey McGee, it's Miguel Rojas who is up trying to bunt. Craig Minervini talking about the defensive troubles of the Pirates. So what now what? And the Pirates will try to turn the page. Of course, if the throw was a little more accurate, the arrival at first would have been cleaner for Cole. He would have had to slide and try to dive back. There's the bunt. Cole looks at second, goes to first, and gets the out. So now you got D. Gordon. You've got the lefty Watson in the bullpen. Is it for Gordon? And Clint Hurdle answers that by hopping out on his way out to the mound. You can imagine Garrett Cole, one of those guys that doesn't want to come out. And he kind of has that look on his face as he exits. Kendall Toyota called to the pen. A lefty in to face D. Gordon. The tying run at second. Garrett Cole exits. Tony Watson arrives. D. Gordon awaits. Real Muto, the runner at second. Bottom 8 in a tight game throughout. Gordon goes after the first pitch, pops it. And Stewart runs out of real estate. They have changed the Real Muto ground ball to a hit. So take away the error. Sean Rodriguez. Outfield towards left center, not real deep. You've got good arms out there.
Yeah, there are a lot of outfields you can pick apart and find a couple of weaker arms, but not the case. Marte, McCutchen, Polanco, all with strong arms. Mentioned earlier, Marte has 12 assists this year. McCutchen's won a Gold Glove.
Gordon fouls it at the plate. So you've got Ichiro on deck. You've got the lefty in Watson. Gordon has hit well against lefties. 1-2. And he swings through a breaking ball.
Yeah, he saw a couple of really good fastballs from Watson, then all of a sudden here comes the slider, and it was a good one.
So it's Ichiro now with 2 outs.
Ichiro in his career, and no exception this year, well over 300 against lefties.
Not many hits at all against Watson this year. Tony Watson has inherited 19 runners this year. Only 3 have scored. Busted bat. Walker Rodriguez just got back to the bag in time, and Miami strands that runner. And the Pirates keep the lead. Tony Watson, 2-1, Pittsburgh. Honda dealers. And by Kubota. For more information, to find a participating dealer, go to FloridaKubota.com. In Miami tonight, the Pirates trying to keep their charge going in the Central, trying to catch the Cardinals. They've got a 2-1 lead into the ninth. JT Realmuto stays in the ball game. And Mike Dunn comes out of the pen.
You know, I think there are times when you give a player a day off that you'd like to give him the whole game off, but there are times that you can't. And Realmuto pinch hitting, stays in to handle Mike Dunn, who comes in for his 57th appearance this year.
Neil Walker. Jordy Mercer and the pitcher spot for Pittsburgh in the ninth. The team behind the Pirates, the Cubs, have put some pressure on them of late. Lost today. Mark Melanson in the bullpen. The Giants Bumgarnered the Cubs 9-1. Madison Bumgarner, winning pitcher in that ball game, struck out a dozen in only 6 innings. His ERA 2.97, 16-6. The team ahead of the Pirates, the first place Cardinals, Pirates are 4.5 back, are in Arizona tonight. That game is just underway, scoreless in the first. Mike Dunn, a live fastball. Gets Neil Walker.
Just reached back, said, all right, here it is. Here's some fastballs, and he threw it by Walker.
Justin Nicolino went 6, gave up 2 runs. Kyle Barraclough scoreless 7th. Brian Morris scoreless 8th. And now Dunn here in the 9th.
Mike Dunn has come in throwing some quality strikes.
Elevates another fastball at 95. And Dunn strikes out Jordy Mercer. And so now Dunn faces Michael Morse.
Went back up there, similar pitch that he was able to strike out Walker on.
Morse now. Mets and Phillies 5-5, bottom 8. Nationals beating the Padres 4-1, top 8. Nationals 6.5 back behind the Mets in the East. About 5 to 6 weeks to go in the season.
It is crisp and it is accurate tonight. Mike Dunn's fastball.
Struck out Walker on a fastball. Struck out Mercer on a fastball. Checkers presents Marlins Live postgame. Look at that. Those guys already at their posts. Jeff Conine, Craig Minervini, Adam. Nice to see you, Adam. That one out of the glove of Real Muto. Moore stays alive. Marlins at Nationals tomorrow night.
We talked about the matchups: Scherzer, Zimmerman, and Strasburg. Conley, Kohler, and Hand.
$7 game time, 6:30 for Marlins Live tomorrow night, and that's the same on Saturday. 6:30 Marlins Live, 7 o'clock game. Sunday's game is a 1:35 start, 1 o'clock for Marlins Live. Three-two. Right back to Dunn. A 1-2-3 inning for Mike Dunn. Miami down to the last 3, but only down 2-1. Bottom 9 comes up. Mark Melancon arrives for the Pirates. Getting that time of year into September, into October, you want to have MLB.TV Premium. What do you get with that? Well, real-time highlights. Every game live or on demand in true HD. A pitch tracking widget, which you can pack and take with you on the road. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. You see the numbers for Melancon, a really nice year. Just 2 blown saves, an ERA of $1.50.
So you see the number of saves, appearances. Melancon tied with Trevor Rosenthal, the Cardinals, each with 40 saves.
Prado, Bohr, Ozuna. Prado tonight 1 for 3. Bohr is 0 for 3. Ozuna is 2 for 3. Not a lot of hits for Miami, just 5. And that is because Garrett Cole was terrific tonight. 7 1/3, just a run. A swing, says Jeff Kellogg. Prado not happy. Marlins bench not happy.
Wow.
And they have reason,
Yes, they do.
to be unhappy. And a pretty good breaking ball. And Prado, you can see not a buckle, but a little bit of a flinch. Oh man, it's just out. Just off the black. Breaking ball drilled at left field, base hit. Boy, Melancon threw a great breaking ball that just missed the corner. He doubled up on it and hung it.
Boy, Martin Prado, there's the curveball. There it is up in the zone, and there's the solid swing by Martin. Good way to start things in the ninth.
Now Bohr. Justin Bohr, a dozen homers. Melancon this year has given up 2 in 61 appearances. And he throws a strike to Bohr. Shift is on. You've got 3 Pirates on the first base side of second. Bohr fouls it at the plate. You look at Melancon's last 3 years, include this one. His numbers are just ridiculous. An All-Star in 13, an ERA of 1.39. Last year, 1.90. Not sure how he didn't make the All-Star team last year. And he's at 1.50 this year.
He's not the glitzy closer that you read about all the time. But he sure gets the job done.
Stewart chased it, landed just on Miami's dugout. Yeah, you're right. I mean, I don't even know. I mean, there are some closers where you know the whole routine, the song that they come out to. Melancon's just kind of a workman-like guy.
He's kind of like his pitching coach, Ray Searage.
There's the tying run at first. Nobody out. Bottom 9. Pirates up a run. Moore fouls it back. And it's 0-2. Clint Hurdle and the Pirates trying to nail down win number 77. The last 2 years, they've been a postseason team. Wild card game both years. Won it 2 years ago, lost it last year. Bour up the middle. Out there. The turn is in time. Right into the shift. And it was Harrison, the versatile one, who turned it, the third baseman.
So the double play actually goes 4-5-3.
Two outs.
Elation and frustration.
Marcell Ozuna 2 for 3. And Melancon misses with a fastball. To Marcell Ozuna. Derek Dietrich is on deck. Working carefully to Ozuna. He's got 6 hits in the series. Searage on the right. Clint Hurdle. 3-1.
Been a nice series for Ozuna.
Pirate fans here on their feet. A slow roller to second, Walker, and the Pirates win it and take 3 of 4 from Miami. Tough to slow down this Pittsburgh bunch. They play a very sharp series. That outfield so talented. McCutchen leads the way. And the Pirates now 77 and 49.
Boy, Garrett Cole, Rich, winning his 15th ball game. 15-7. Melancon picking up save number 41.
A 4-game series, and the Pirates win 3 of them. This Pittsburgh team came into this series hot, and they will leave hot. Marlins Live is coming up. Marlins Live is hot when we get back, as the Pirates win it 2-1.